Well, good morning, family. Hope you guys are having a wonderful, blessed Wednesday because Grammie's having a wonderful, blessed Wednesday. I hope you guys are safe today because we have some thunderstorms moving through this area and they're supposed to be bad. But I know the maker of the rain and I know the one who can speak to the storm and hush it down. Hush it. Ain't nothing too big for our God. No, no, no. Just want to mention that I received a beautiful card this week from a brother of mine named Keith Warren, and he's all the way out in San Francisco, and it was a beautiful card, and it said, "Get well wishes." I want to tell y'all, I'm doing good. I'm still a little tired, but I'm doing good. We did have the ultrasound. The reason I didn't put anything up here because it was inconclusive, and she told me she was going to have a hard time getting it because where it lays, the lung is behind it, and it has to have something behind it for it to bounce off of, and she said it was just a little bit small and a little bit hard to get. So it's inconclusive, so me and the doctor have decided to wait for 6 weeks, and we're going to go back in, see if it's still there, see if it's larger, and then we're going to go from there. Probably an MRI will be the next thing, but I'm believing that God's doing something. I believe he didn't want them doctors to get a hold of that. I believe he's going to get rid of it. But she was bouncing over that thing like a speed bump. She could feel it, she could see it, but it just didn't show up. So that's a good thing. We're going to take that as a good sign and a good thing. Sometimes your lymph nodes will just swell up if you've had a sinus infection or a cold or something like that, and your body's really fighting to get over it. That's just the truth. Sometimes your body will just go into hyperdrive to get rid of it. It's the way God made us, and he created us to get rid of stuff. So today we are going to return to our Bible relics and Bible history. So today we're talking about the Red Sea crossing. Now, at the end of this, I will have pictures and things like that showing you where they have dove underneath the Red Sea and they have found chariot wheels. I've got pictures of them, chariot parts. Even they have found horse hoofs that have been petrified that's underneath there. I don't know how to explain it. And bone fragments from humans underneath there, because whenever the Israelites made it across and the Egyptians were allowed to move into the open area, God closed the water on top of them. And so we're going to read. We're going to do a little reading, and we're going to get into this. We're going to use this for a lesson today. You remember last week when I talked about we're reading in the Gospels as a family, and my husband can't believe that the apostles, the disciples, seen these miracles every day and still had doubt in their heart. But I'm going to talk about the Israelites because they seen so much. God led them by a pillar of cloud in the day and a pillar of fire at night. He fed them manna from heaven and quail. And they just come through the plagues of Egypt, and they weren't touched by it. And they still have unbelief. But here's the part that really gets me. Let's read this. Exodus 14, 18 through, 24 is where I'm going to read, okay? And it says, "And the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord, when I have gotten me honor upon Pharaoh, upon his chariots, upon his horsemen. And the angel of God, which went before the camp of Israel, removed and went behind them." Okay? "And the pillar of cloud went from before their face and stood behind them to protect them from the Egyptians." Okay, I added the protection. "And it came between the camp of the Egyptians and the camp of Israel. And it was a cloud and a darkness to them, but it gave light by night to these, so that the one came not near the other all night. And Moses stretched out his hand." Now, they're not even in the thing yet. They put the pillar there to keep the Egyptians back. Okay? "So, and Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and the Lord caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind all that night, and made the sea dry land, and the waters were divided. And the children of Israel went into the midst of the sea upon dry ground." They didn't even walk in mud, y'all. He dried the ground for them. "And the waters were a wall unto them on their right hand and on their left." They're seeing fish as they're walking by, okay? "And the Egyptians pursued and went in after them to the midst of the sea, even all Pharaoh's horses, chariots, and his horsemen. And it came to pass that in the morning watch the Lord looked into the host of the Egyptians through the pillar of fire of the cloud, and he troubled the host of the Egyptians. And so he allowed that water to come back, and we know this, that it swallowed up that whole army of the Egyptians. Okay? Now, my problem is they had just gotten through walking through the Red Sea that was parted to either side of them on dry land. They didn't even have to walk through mud. You understand, this is land that hadn't seen daylight and forever. It was a sea there, the Red Sea. And they crossed through that on dry land. Dry. I love that it says dry ground. They didn't even have dust on their feet. They didn't have mud on their feet. When God does something, he does it perfect. He don't do it halfway. So, at the end of this, I'm going to show you the chariot wheels, the different things that divers have gone down and found. I'm also going to show you the pillars. The one has been taken down because one side of this crossing belongs to Saudi Arabia, and they are a Muslim country. And so a lot of times they will take something that is a Jewish relic and they will destroy it, hide it away. I don't know what they do with it, but the pillar that's on the Saudi Arabian side has been removed, but there are pictures of it before they took it away. And it was erected by King Solomon himself. And on the other side, and it says Egyptian crossing. I have to go back and tell you everything it says, but it was just markings on there, and it was a King Solomon mark on there. And it's amazing, and I can't tell you everything because I'm not an archaeologist. I'm not a Bible historian where I know things. I just research this stuff because it's something that's very interesting to me, because whenever I go to witness somebody, I really like to have a witness. Jesus is a witness. The gospel is a witness. But there are just some hard-headed people in this world today. The unbelief is so strong in the world today. You really have to have something to knock them over the head with. You have to say, really? Well, let me show you this Bible's real. You heard of the Red Sea crossing? Well, let me show you some pictures. You want to see some pictures of some chariot wheels? You heard of Noah's Ark? Well, let me show you Noah's Ark. You heard that God came down in a pillar of fire upon Mount Sinai? Well, let me show you where the top of that mountain's black. Okay? So, I mean, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that God has preserved for such a time as this for us to use against the hard-headed world. And I love them. I'm going to pursue them with everything that's in me, and I'm going to believe that we're going to take a whole lot of them to heaven with us. You know what? I was a hard-headed kid too. I was a hard-headed kid. I fell in love with Jesus early in my life when I was 9 years old. But as a teenager, I walked the path as a drunkard. I would be on it, then I'd be off it, and I'd be on it, and I'd be off it. And thank God he's got patience, and he's slow to anger, because he really allowed me to have a lot of his patience. And he was very kind and very loving. And he just kept saying, okay, come on, let's dust you off and get you back on this thing again. You've been crazy, but I love you. And so God's been good to me. And so I want to make sure, I don't want anybody to depart this world and go to hell. It troubles me. It troubles my heart to think that there are people every day that are dying and going to hell. The church has much work to do. We have much work to do. And God has gave us many tools to do it. And maybe we can't save 30 people today. Maybe we can't lead 30 people to the Lord. No, we can't save anybody, but we can't lead 30 people to the Lord today. But maybe we can lead one. And then that one person goes back and he leads one, and then he leads one, and he leads one, and he leads one. And it becomes a chain reaction, because the Lord's love and light is addictive. Once you've had it, you want it. And that's why whenever I hear these people saying, well, I was a Christian and I renounce it. I thought, you were never a Christian. You were never a child of God. Because if you ever fall in love with Jesus, you will never leave him. You might do wrong and you might fall in the mud, but you will run back to him because you will miss him. If I don't spend time with my Lord, I miss him. I'll say, Lord, I have been busy and I miss you. I miss you. And that's the truth. That's the truth. So, the unbelief of the Israelites. So here they've walked across. They get out. They walk. They're in the wilderness. They're running around there. And then they start fussing at Moses, saying, "You done brought us out here to die. You brought us all the way out here to die." Now here's these people that just walked through the Red Sea on dry ground. And they can't believe God to give them water. They can't believe God to feed them. Are we not in a time like that today? And please, when I say this, I'm not saying that God's not telling people to prepare things. But there is so much fear that people are hoarding back food and hoarding this back and hoarding that back. And I have something to say today. Yes, I have a little bit of a stockpile. Yes, I have a little bit of a pantry. But I'm just going to tell you, Jesus said, "Worry not over what you shall eat or what you shall wear." He is speaking to us in this day and time. Worry not. Worry not. If he can feed the children of Israel with manna and quail from heaven, he surely will take care of us. He says, "I am the same God yesterday, today, and forevermore." The miracles of God have not passed away. Man has said that they have passed away, but they are still here and they are vital and working every day. God would not heal one and not heal another. And like I said, some people are not healed on this earth. They are healed in heaven for a perfect healing. But God always heals. He is a miraculous, wonderful God. And he loves each and every one of us. So, miracles are for today. The gifts are for today. How can God pour out his spirit upon all flesh in the end of times? And people will prophesy, and they'll have dreams, and they'll have visions, and they'll do mighty things and greater things if the miracles and the gifts have passed away. It's a conundrum. It's not for me, but it is for some people, because I'm just going to tell you, he is a miracle working God. He's a miracle working God, and he's got so much more for us. He wants to part the Red Seas in your life and let you walk through on dry ground. He wants you to know he's God. He proves himself every day that he's God. When I let my little grandkids in, I believe it was yesterday morning, they didn't get here for a little while. So I'm sitting at the door and I've got the door open, and the morning birds were singing at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I thought, how beautiful. They're singing, they're praising God. The animals, the creation knows how to praise God better than man. And we have the knowledge and the ability. But yet we don't. So even the rocks shall cry out and praise him. I love you guys. I'm going to have the pictures and I'm going to have the things after this. And I love you. I hope you enjoy these pictures. I'm just going to put them on there and just let them play. And I might put the words on there what each thing is. But I hope you guys enjoy this and enjoy this teaching on the Red Sea crossing. I hope I made some sense. Let's have our faith on, because let me tell you, every day God's doing a miracle in your life. Let's open our eyes so we can see it and give him thanks for it. Maybe he made you late this morning so you wouldn't be in a car wreck. That's a miracle. Maybe you weren't able to get set up yesterday, but today you are sitting up in a chair and you are doing better. Maybe today that loved one you've been praying for is going to give their life to God, give their heart to God. God is moving mountains in your life. Just open your eyes and you'll see it. He is parting Red Seas, and he's giving you dry ground to walk upon. Anyway, love you guys. I am praying for you guys, and I just love you. I just love you. So you guys have a wonderful, blessed Wednesday. Until next time, I'm Grammie Nae Nae.